The Young and the Restless Spoilers. Traci always dreamed of a peaceful life, a serene existence filled with love, understanding, and genuine connection. Her vision of tranquility was forever intertwined with the hope of sharing her life with Alan, a man she believed could be the embodiment of all the virtues she cherished. However, fate took a dramatic twist when the truth emerged. Alan was not the man he seemed to be. In a cruel play of deception and lost identity, Alan was, in fact, Martin, a man whose path had been marred by error and missteps. Martin's journey down a darkened road had transformed him into a figure of inner torment. A creature whose past misdeeds had left indelible scars on his soul. The dual identity and the birth of a monster. Martin's transformation was not instantaneous. It was a gradual erosion of hope and humanity that slowly stripped away his true self. The world around him had driven him into making choices that eventually corrupted his essence. What began as a series of seemingly minor mistakes snowballed into actions so grievous that he could hardly recognize the man he once was. To those who had known him under his former identity as Alan, the change was both bewildering and heartbreaking. The man they had loved had become an enigma, a monster born out of a confluence of circumstances and choices that led him astray. His inner turmoil, once hidden beneath a veneer of normalcy, had now erupted into a storm of reckless behavior and regretful misadventures. Traci's unyielding hope and desire for redemption. Amid the chaos of Martin's transformation, Traci's love remained a steadfast beacon of hope. Deep within her heart, she believed that even the most tarnished soul could be redeemed. For years, she had yearned for an opportunity, a moment when she could confront Martin, not with anger or judgment, but with compassion and a promise of unconditional love. And then, as if destiny had finally decided to grant her wish, Martin agreed to meet her. The encounter was nothing short of momentous. It marked the collision of two worlds, one that had embraced despair and another that clung to the possibility of renewal. During their long-awaited meeting, provided he would acknowledge the mistakes he had made and apologize not only to those he had hurt but also to himself. In her gentle yet determined manner, Traci extended an invitation to reclaim the fragments of his identity that had been lost along the way. Her words resonated deeply with Martin, stirring memories of the man he once aspired to be, a man of honor, love, and accountability. A moment of transformation. The conversation between Traci and Martin unfolded like a cathartic ritual. As she spoke of forgiveness and unconditional love, the hardened layers of Martin's defenses began to crumble. In that charged atmosphere, emotions overwhelmed him. Tears flowed freely as he absorbed the magnitude of Traci's compassion, realizing that perhaps there was still a chance to mend the broken parts of his soul. Their embrace was more than a physical act, it was a symbolic union of hope and redemption. In that moment, Martin felt a glimmer of the love that he had long forgotten. And he dared to envision a future where he could once again be part of a loving family, a future where he was not defined solely by his past misdeeds. Shadows of doubt and the question of a trap. Yet, as the warmth of the embrace enveloped them, a lingering question cast a dark shadow over the scene. Was this encounter truly the dawn of a new beginning for Martin? Or was it a well-laid trap by those with ulterior motives? Whispers of conspiracy and the murmur of caution hinted that perhaps Traci and her associate, Jack, had orchestrated this meeting with a hidden agenda. The possibility that Martin's vulnerability could be exploited, leading him to be captured and imprisoned, gnawed at his mind. Every kind word, every tear shed, was weighed against the fear of being ensnared in a trap from which escape would be impossible. This duality, the promise of redemption clashing with the specter of manipulation, infused the narrative with tension and uncertainty. Martin found himself standing at a crossroads. One path illuminated by the tender glow of forgiveness, and the other shrouded in the ominous possibility of deceit. His heart yearned for the gentle embrace of familial love and acceptance. Yet the logic of survival cautioned him to remain alert. The complexity of his situation was overwhelming. every step forward could either lead to healing or trap him in a cycle of betrayal and confinement. The crossroads of fate. In the days that followed their meeting, Martin wrestled with his inner demons. The dialogue with Traci had ignited a spark of hope, a reminder of what he could reclaim if he chose to face the consequences of his past. The very notion of unconditional love and forgiveness offered him a lifeline, a chance to extricate himself from the web of errors that had ensnared him. However, the threat of a potential trap loomed large, urging him to be cautious. The path to redemption was rarely free of obstacles, and Martin's journey was no exception. He began to meticulously weigh his options. Was the love and acceptance that Traci offered genuine, or was it a calculated maneuver designed to ensnare him further? Each memory of his former self, a self defined by hope, compassion, and integrity, clashed with the reality of his current state, a state marred by past missteps and the consequences that followed. The possibility of reclaiming his identity and forging a future filled with love and unity was tantalizing, yet the risk of being manipulated into a corner remained a stark reality. A tentative step toward renewal. As Martin mulled over these conflicting emotions, he realized that the decision before him was not simply a matter of choosing between two paths. It was a test of his will to change. The emotional bond he had with Traci, forged over years of longing and hope, was a powerful motivator. It symbolized the possibility of a life free from the chains of guilt and regret, a life where mistakes could be forgiven and love could triumph over darkness. In a final act of vulnerability, Martin resolved to take a tentative step toward redemption. With the memory of Traci's words echoing in his mind, he decided that the first step was to confront his past. He would embark on a journey of introspection and atonement, reaching out to those he had wronged and seeking forgiveness not only from them but also from himself. This arduous path, fraught with emotional challenges and the ever-present risk of betrayal, was the only way he could hope to reclaim his lost humanity. The uncertain future. Despite the promise of a new beginning, the specter of deception still lingered in the background. Martin was aware that his every move might be scrutinized, that his newfound vulnerability could be used against him by those who had orchestrated the meeting. The threat of being imprisoned, both physically and emotionally, was a constant reminder that the path to redemption was not guaranteed. The possibility that Traci and Jack might have ulterior motives left him in a perpetual state of alertness, questioning every gesture and every word. Yet, even in the face of such uncertainty, Martin found solace in the hope that love could indeed be transformative. The memory of Traci's compassionate embrace and the promise of forgiveness fueled his determination. He understood that the journey ahead would be difficult, with every step potentially shadowed by the remnants of his former mistakes. But the vision of a life where he could be part of a loving family, a life unburdened by the weight of guilt, was worth the risk. Conclusion. The narrative of Martin and Traci is a tapestry of human emotions, hope, despair, love, and caution interwoven into a story that challenges the very notion of redemption. While Martin's past had turned him into a monster in the eyes of many, Traci's unwavering belief in the possibility of change offered him a glimpse of a brighter future. Their encounter was a turning point, a moment when the possibility of forgiveness clashed with the fear of manipulation. In the end, whether Martin's path leads to true redemption or further entrapment remains an open question. His journey serves as a reminder that the road to transformation is never linear, and that every decision carries with it the weight of both hope and risk. Only time will reveal if the love and forgiveness extended by Traci can indeed dissolve the darkness that has consumed Martin, or if it will ultimately be the very snare that holds him captive. The complexity of their intertwined fates invites us to ponder the nature of identity, the power of forgiveness, and the fine line between salvation and deception. As Martin stands at the crossroads of his destiny, one truth remains clear. The path forward is paved with both the promise of redemption and the peril of an unseen trap, challenging him to navigate the uncertain terrain of his soul with courage and resolve. The unfolding narrative is both captivating and complex, and it invites us to explore a question as old as storytelling itself: can love conquer even the deepest wounds and betrayals? In this story, Martin's tearful breakdown following Traci's heartfelt advice marks not only a moment of raw vulnerability but also the spark that ignites a cascade of unforeseen complications. Martin's reaction could be seen as the catalyst for a journey that might either lead to genuine transformation or, alternatively, plunge him into deeper turmoil. His path is fraught with a delicate balance between hope and the lingering shadows of his past. Unlike Traci, who has been anchored in her unwavering love for Alan, Martin's fate is a mosaic of hardship and a need for cautious rebuilding. This stark contrast in their destinies raises a compelling dilemma: can a connection between them, born out of such disparate lives, truly be the remedy they both desperately need? Over time, the storyline of Martin and Traci has been a prolonged saga, weaving together threads of redemption, regret, and the desire for genuine change. Yet, despite the years of struggle, their narrative remains unresolved, lacking that critical finesse to navigate the chasm between their worlds. Martin, with his tumultuous past and precarious present, must tread lightly. He is at a crossroads where every decision carries the potential to either lift him from the darkness or ensnare him in another trap, one that might have been set by the very people who once sought his downfall. Now, when considering the idea of Traci coming to Martin as a couple, one is tempted to say yes, on the condition that their union isn't merely about romantic idealism, but about a mutual journey toward healing. Traci's steadfast compassion and willingness to forgive could indeed be the beacon that Martin needs. A sign that even those marred by a troubled past can find a way back to humanity. However, this potential pairing isn't without its caveats. Given that Traci's love has already been entwined with Alan, her emotional journey is laden with its own complexities. The possibility that her affection might be part of a larger, more intricate strategy, or even a trap, casts a cautious shadow over this budding relationship. What makes this narrative so compelling is the uncertainty of Martin's belief in Traci's promises. His emotional outpour, spurred by her gentle counsel, might lead him to finally embrace a path of redemption, but it also places him at risk. There is a poignant irony in his vulnerability. It is both his greatest strength and his most perilous liability. Trust, once shattered by years of missteps and manipulations, is not easily restored. In this light, the question isn't merely whether Traci should become his partner, but whether Martin can allow himself to trust and believe in a future that looks so radically different from his past. For me, as someone invested in the unfolding of this narrative, the answer is nuanced. I believe that if Traci's intentions are genuine and her resolve to stand by Martin through his darkest moments remains unyielding, their union could symbolize a transformative alliance. Their relationship would not simply be a romantic subplot but a testament to the enduring power of forgiveness, the resilience of the human spirit, and the possibility of reformation even in the face of overwhelming odds. On the other hand, the persistent risk of betrayal, hinted at by the lingering specter of ulterior motives, cannot be ignored. Martin's need for extreme caution is not unfounded. His emotional scars, the memories of his past transgressions, and the very real threat of being manipulated into a trap are formidable obstacles. Traci's arrival in his life must therefore be accompanied by a profound understanding that love, while capable of healing, can also be weaponized. In this scenario, their union would demand more than just shared affection. It would require a deep commitment to honesty, vulnerability, and the courage to face the unpredictable consequences of a past that refuses to be forgotten. So, do I want Traci to come to Martin and become a couple? Yes, provided that both characters are prepared to confront the realities of their intertwined destinies with caution, clarity, and an unwavering commitment to change. Their union has the potential to be a beacon of hope and renewal. It could serve as a powerful narrative about how individuals can rise from the ashes of their former selves, provided they navigate the treacherous path with wisdom and mutual respect. Ultimately, the decision to embrace one another in the face of such profound challenges is not one of blind optimism but of measured risk, a gamble that, if won, might not only redeem Martin but also bring a much-needed equilibrium to the lives of both characters. Their story, full of twists and doubts, remains an open chapter in a larger saga of redemption, love, and the ceaseless search for inner peace.